Well, it's time at the 5 year mark here to stop off for our first bookmark in a Southend United save. We're going to have a look today at the English and Scottish pyramids, have a brief look at European football too, see what's been happening in this footballing world as we continue our ascent to the top with Southend United. What are we going to meet when we get there? Yes, hello, and welcome along to part 40 of Saving Southend with me, Daniel. We are back today at the 5 year point for our first bookmark of the save. We'll compare how the English and Scottish pyramids look to the same point in the head coach one a few weeks ago. And of course, we'll have a look at what we might meet when we get to the top. See who's dominating all the different levels of football, who's been winning the big European trophies, and what's going on in the international world, and where the big transfers are as well. If you're looking forward to all of that as we stop off for a rare visit away from Southend United, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. Of course, our first 5 years here has been arguably the most successful we've ever had in any save, and FM24 has generally been kind to us so far when it comes to getting results in both of our YouTube saves. But today, we're going to take a bit of a breather from that. We're going to have a look at what's been going on in English, Scottish, Welsh, Northern Irish, and European football too. First things first, before we do that, I do want to have a quick look at our profile to see how we've been developing as a manager, because of course it has been one of our most successful stints ever. And I do want to see whether or not we've been increasing with our coaching badges, reputation, and whatever else. So let's go and have a look at our profile here, because we are now on 3.5 grand a week. We've got a contract for 3 more years at Southend, which is a lovely position to be in. And despite not being approved for coaching badges, we've asked twice and been rejected both times. We are up to a 2-star reputation because of our quick ascent through the divisions. Overall, though, it has been a bordering on spectacular save. 3 promotions in 4 years after almost getting sacked during the first season. And what a remarkable rise it's been. Our attributes, unfortunately, not really reflecting that just yet. But apparently we're close to Pep Guardiola, so we must be doing something right. If we have a look at our career stats a bit more generally though, we have had one hell of a ride, because overall we have won 150 of our 267 games as a manager. We've got a 56% win rate. We've got a club goal difference of over 200 in the positives. And we've also got 3 promotions, including that one title, which was back in the National League. It's really not a bad effort, is it? Our record sale is still 950 grand. It should have read 11.5 million if Jayden Danns had accepted his move in January. We've not spent more than 600 grand on a player. We've not spent more than £1 million overall. And we are doing really well given the circumstances. No days on holiday, just for those of you who are a little bit suspicious at times. Total career earnings approaching 500,000. 15 awards in total, a lot of those in the National League. And overall, just the most splendid 5 years we've ever had. Almost frustrating how comfortable it's been. And after that first half of season, we've really pushed on. The job history speaks for itself. 11th in the National League first year with an FA Trophy final after being at risk of the sack early on in the year. In the 4 seasons since that, first in the National League with 6 Manager of the Month awards. Second in League 2, second in League 1, 7th in the Championship. It's success that we've never had before. We've never seen the likes. And to climb through the divisions at that speed and break just about the club's highest ever league finish last season was a pretty remarkable effort overall. The manager timeline is something we don't really get to look at the moment. We keep getting told that our best signings are free ones. We keep doing really well. And overall, while I'm not too enamoured with the information you get on here, it does remind us how successful we've been. So with that out of the way, let's move away from us and move on to the footballing world generally. We're in a championship, but if we make one more step, what will we be meeting in the Premier League? We're going to have a look through, see who's been winning the divisions, and whether or not there's any surprise faces in any of them. If we start in the Premier League, we've got this 5th season, Liverpool winning their first title at a save. And look at how they've done it as well, by 3 goals on goal difference. I want to know if they've scored more as well. They have, because I was going to say, if it went to goals scored, would they still have got it? As it is, though, 87 points, a brilliant effort from them, and Darwin Núñez, one of the top scorers in the league. You've got your usual suspects. It's basically the traditional Big Six, plus Newcastle and Villa, which I think a lot would expect it to be in real life. But as we saw earlier in the season, there is no longer West Ham in this top tier. Leeds are definitely an established side. Everton have done really well in this save. We faced them in the FA Cup a couple of years ago. And then down at the bottom, Middlesbrough made a return, West Brom, but they've both gone back down. Southampton, our parent club, we know have stayed there. And of course, Luton Town haven't, but Sheffield United and Burnley have managed to. Classic FM, that. But the biggest thing, I guess, here, and the biggest difference is that there's definitely not as much dominance from City. They've won the first two, but they've gone 3 without now. Is Pep still in charge? He is. But no title for them since 2025. 2 for Arsenal and 1 for Liverpool. Let's move on down to the Championship, where Wolves have beaten Hull in the playoffs. Forest and Norwich up automatically. Forest have won it twice already in the 5 years. Leeds, Wolves and Southampton, the other ones. Luton were in the playoffs. We just missed out. At the bottom, we saw that as well as us being a surprise, there were the likes of Lincoln and Oxford, who have both been relegated back down. Other than that, Derby and a recovering Reading, the only two sides who I think weren't in the top 2 tiers at the start of the save. Oh, Blackpool as well. But yeah, not a huge number of shocks there, if we're being honest. Let's go and move on to League One. Are there any more surprises here? Because there were a couple lower down the divisions last time. Was it Northampton in non-league in the head coach one? I'm pretty sure they were in the National League relegation zone near the end of the 5th year. In this one, Peterborough going down to League 2, Wickham the same. Any other surprise names? Stoke near the bottom of League 1, slight surprise. Cardiff, bottom half of League 1. They still got Rob Edwards? No, they've sacked him as well. Swansea and QPR going back to the Championship. Salford have just been promoted to the Championship as well. And Wrexham were in that playoff race too. So a few sides starting to push up the division. Stockport just outside it as well. Definitely a few of those boys pushing up very quickly. We saw Birmingham won it when we were in the division. Oxford, Plymouth and Blackpool the others. But let's go and move down to League 2, where we have got Notts County winning the league. We've also got no real surprises in the winners over the last 5 seasons. All teams that were in the same or one division out. But we have got a surprise in 3rd place. Rochdale, currently in the National League, have made it up to League 1 at the end of the 5th season. That's a good effort from them. And again in this save as well. Not quite as dramatic, the fall, but Northampton in the 5th season relegated to the National League. But what is it with Northampton? I would love to know, because there's not big financial trouble. They've got stable enough facilities, and in this one, again, they went down the 2nd year. They've just been sat right near the bottom, fighting against survival. And in the end, it's come back to get them. So both saves, Northampton in non-league within 5 seasons. That certainly seems a bit of a pattern. Having a look at the rest of the division, Stevenage have come back down. Bromley have come up to the Football League as well. Oldham too. Yeovil, starting in the National League South. They're in the Football League and comfortably mid-table. How long did it take them to get there? They were promoted in the 1st season and the 3rd season. So they have been on an upward trajectory throughout. 5 years in, comfortable in League 2 and really progressing pretty nicely. So that's one of the biggest stories upwards so far. Northampton again still in the show going down. Let's move down to non-league football. See if there's anyone else who stands out. As Chesterfield, they've finally made it out. They kept getting dominant scores in the playoffs and then just missing out. And after 5 years, they've finally done it. Orient had gone down 2 divisions. They've come back up with 100 points. There's definitely a lot more fluctuation in the English pyramid in this save. There's no doubt in that. Harrogate and Newport out of the Football League, Barrow as well. Gillingham down there at the bottom end of the National League. We've got a couple that have come up, such as Chester, Havant and Waterlooville. Again, a few little surprises there. In the National League North and South, we've got Gateshead and Kidderminster at the top there. Nothing major, just 1 division down for them. Bury back in the playable leagues, which is nice to see. Hemel Hempstead in the north, which geographically is hilarious. Royston in there as well. St Albans in there as well. They've been relegated from it. What about the south? There's no big Football League teams down there. National League South. Dorking have won the playoffs. Torquay have won the league. Eastleigh are down there as well. Aldershot. A few with 1 relegation in them. Wealdstone too. Anyone else that stands out? Not really. So not too much fluctuation right at the bottom, but a few big stories are going up a couple. The likes of Salford, the likes of Yeovil, Rochdale, etc. But Northampton again, still in the show when it comes to going down. Let's have a look at the FA Cup, where Liverpool have beaten Newcastle. Looks like they've had a pretty successful year, doesn't it? City have got one, Villa won it first season, Arsenal have picked up the other two. We go down to the League Cup. We've got Spurs with one, City with one, Liverpool two, and Manchester United with one. We go to the Community Shield. City have won 4 out of the 5. And then the EFL Trophy. Oh, the dreaded under-21s winner. Chelsea have done that in the 3rd season. Otherwise, all sides from the EFL. And in the FA Trophy, Dulwich Hamlet. That must be a surprise because they're not in the National League. No, they're in the South and they've won it against Hereford, who are in the North. So a non-National League final after 4 of the bigger boys had won it. Rochdale when they came up. So Rochdale must be on successive promotions, are they not? Yes, they are. They came up as National League champions, then finished 3rd in League 2. We better watch out for them next season. Maybe they're going to do a Southend. Seems like a lot of teams are going back to back this year, which maybe makes our success a little bit less impressive. Richard Dunn is the manager, the former City and Villa defender. Very interesting to see them following in our footsteps there. But that's English football. We know a bit about it because we've been here and going through the divisions. But let's go and move on to Scotland and see what's been happening north of the border. Well, it couldn't be more different, could it? Rangers have won every title in this save and they nicked this one by 2 points as well. Celtic had been the dominant force in the other save, but here, Rangers have got Simeone up front, who is a very good Italian striker. Jake O'Brien, a good defender. They've got James Ward-Prowse at 33, world-class midfielder with top set-piece delivery. Pavon's in there as well. That is a good, strong Rangers side. Let's have a quick look. Clement's still there. Mateo Kovacic. They've gone for sort of legends from the English leagues or players that were very reputable. Scott McKenna, another one. We've managed him on Switch with Luton. And then Yilmaz still there. Issa Diop's come in. Brandon Williams has gone north. Jed Spence north. That's a good side. I want to see how the Celtic one compares to it. We have a look at theirs. They've still got Rodgers. They've still got McGregor. You really think Rodgers would keep his job if he didn't win a title in the next 5 years? I'm not so sure about that. Their signings, yeah, maybe just not quite the same level. They've got a slightly smaller squad, but Sarmiento, Nuno Tavares, Lee Buchanan, Norgard, they're all good footballers. But they're not quite at the same level as that Rangers squad, are they? Which perhaps explains what we've seen. Interestingly though, without all of those other European leagues loaded, like in the head coach, it has managed to stay in the top 10 when it comes to competition reputation. Should note as well that Queen's Park are established here in the top tier. Not many other surprises if you take that one out. Let's go down to the Championship where Arbroath were beaten in the playoff. We've also got Kilmarnock winning it, Falkirk near the top, who seem to have recovered in this save. Near the bottom ends, again, nothing massive at the minute. Let's have a look at League One. I should just see, actually, has anyone surprising been down there? Both Dundee sides have won it once and Kilmarnock too. Arbroath did have a year in the top tier. In League One, Inverness won it in the 4th season, so it took them a while to get out. They had a tough time going down there, but let's have a look at the table at the minute. Hamilton stuck in mid-table still. Partick Thistle in mid-table too. Dunfermline in there as well. That is a strong 3rd tier, you've got to be fair. With Kelty Hearts and Peterhead going down. Let's have a look at the 4th tier as well. Any big surprises? I don't think so. Oh, hang on a minute. Brechin got all the way up to League One. They won it in the 3rd season. Pat Nevin's boys are doing the job again. They're back down in League 2 now, but they're near the top end. And that's exactly what we want to see. Nothing else of huge surprise there. But well done to Brechin. Well done to Pat and the boys. Lovely from FM21 to see them back and doing well. Let's have a look at the Scottish Cup. That's been shared out a bit better, but Celtic have only won one of them as well. So for 4 years, no Scottish Cup and no SPL. Celtic must have done well in Europe. We'll have a look. Rangers 2, Hibs 1, Hearts 1. And then the Viaplay Cup, 3 for Rangers. Raith won it 1st year. And Hibs won it 3rd year. Again, no Celtic. How on earth has he got a job? The SPFL Trophy, my favourite one. TNS and Larne breaking the Scottish dominance occasionally. What have Celtic been doing in Europe? Because how has he kept his job? Champions League last 16 this year. We need to go back to the start, don't we? So 1st season, out in a Champions League group. 2nd year, Europa League last 16. 3rd year, Europa League last 16. 4th year, Europa League last 16. I'm not sure Brendan Rodgers would keep his job in real life if that were the case. I'm happy to be corrected and, we might find out in real life, who knows, but I'm not sure about that. Scotland's out the way though, so let's move to two of our other favourite UK leagues. We're going to have a quick look at Wales and Northern Ireland and see how the pyramids are looking there. See if we can find last year's team Distillery and if they've made any progress in this save. Well, into the Welsh Premier, and the dominance has been broken again. That's the same as the last save, isn't it? Let me know if I'm right or wrong. I'm pretty sure in the head coach, Barry won it 4th season, and TNS have won it every other year. What's interesting in this one is Barry have won it and then managed to finish 7th the following year. Did they make group stage football? Oh my God. Barrytown United were in the Europa Conference groups. They beat Dinamo Minsk on penalties to get there. They beat Valmiera. And in that group stage, by the way, they beat Valur. They picked up a point against Buduknost. They got 4 points in there. Now we know why their season got derailed. Did they sign anybody? Not of note. A few good players from elsewhere in the nation, couple of loans from Wrexham, etc. What an achievement from Barrytown United. What have TNS done in Europe? Because this league is moving up the coefficient and reputation ladder. Obviously this season would have been a bit trickier for them. But prior to that, you would have thought they would have had a chance. So yeah, they got into the group stage. They won 2-0 at Olympiacos last season. They also picked up a point against Derry City. The year before they got to the knockout round and won at home to Dinamo Bucharest, just losing out on aggregate. They beat the likes of Dnipro in their group stage and Hinkesti, but they've been picking up results. The season before that, they didn't quite make it. And the first season, no, again, didn't quite make it. But that is a couple of big performances from both TNS and Barrytown United in Europe. Welsh football's on the up, there's no doubt in that. Let's have a look at the surprises. I guess Bala being at the bottom, bit of a shock based on recent seasons, but again, in Welsh football, if you're not TNS, anything can happen to any of you. Interesting to note that James Kroll is the top scorer for them. He was at Maidenhead for us. I want to say FM22. Or is a little bit of a legend. Might have even been last year. Let's go down to the north and south. Bangor 1876, my off-camera save. They're third in that division at the minute. Having a decent little run there. And down in the south, any other of the big teams? Not really. Port Talbot relegated out of there. Used to be one of the bigger boys in the nation. So Welsh football, maybe a slight surprise. Certainly Barry's performance in Europe and by winning a title. Let's go over to Northern Ireland, a league that we came to know so well in FM23. Well, Northern Irish football has become dominated by Larne, with Linfield not far behind them. They're 3 points off this year and they have managed one title, but it has been Larne who have won 4 out of 5. Still a lot of the familiar old names there, if we're being honest, the likes of Kane McKendry, O'Connor, Bonis, Shevlin, all recognisable names. Chris Johnson doing keepers as well. So I'm not sure there's been as much investment here, but how have Larne got on in Europe? You would expect them to match the Welsh sides. And by word, they have. They got to the last 16 of the Conference League, winning the playoff match against Pogon. They also, in 26-27, they'd have struggled a bit because they didn't win the league that year. The one before, didn't get through at all. Maybe it's going to be underwhelming. Second year, no, didn't make it. That does seem disappointing. Only once have Larne made it out of 4. A less successful effort than TNS, whereas Linfield, the only year they had it was last season. And did they make the groups? They did, in fairness, but they didn't get out of it. So a little bit of an effort from Northern Irish football. Couple of surprise names at the bottom of the division as well. HW Welders staying up. Newry down there too, which means we might have a couple of surprise names in the second tier. I'm looking at it. Is it going to be any of the big boys? I feel like there's one missing there. It might just be Crusaders in the bottom half. Let's see what we've got in the championship here. Armagh and HW Welders was the playoff. Ballymena in the second tier. There's the name I was looking for. Warren Point are back up there as well. Hadn't been demoted to the third tier in real life. I obviously mentioned that as a save idea a few months ago on the channel. And Distillery have made it to the second tier. They're just about in there. They must have won the playoff this season. Ethan Warnock, remember that name? I think that's the only one from that first team I remember. But they've got a couple of very good players in there. And I wonder they've just about made it. But good to see them making progress regardless. If we go down to the third tier, we have got Warren Point won it the second year, Distillery won it the first. And they seem to have managed to stay up for 4. No other real shock names in there. A few that are second tier regulars, but again, no one dropping from, say, the top tier, or in the manner that Warren Point did last time around. Just looking at the top scorer there in the third tier, Shearer. You remember him. We had him at the start of the Distillery save too. Some lovely familiar names there. Really enjoying them. But Northern Irish football, pretty standard at the minute, if we're being honest. Just have a quick look at who won the cup there. Oh, that's been spread out a bit. 2 for Larne, 1 for Linfield, Glentoran, and a Carrick Rangers surprise. Bit of European football for them as well. Let's finally, though, go on to the bigger competitions across world football. We'll start with the European trophies for club level, and then we'll get to international football, starting with the Champions League. Well, big news, folks. PSG won it first season and replicated that in the fourth. But also 2 English winners. Arsenal got their first ever one last time out. Liverpool and Real Madrid have added to their totals as well. A few surprise winners in that poll. Certainly PSG first year seeming a bit odd. Europa League, English dominated. Couple of German winners too. Leipzig and Hertha Berlin, who have gone from the second tier in Germany to winning the Europa League in 3 seasons. That's arguably a bigger story than Southend. Spurs, United and Chelsea have each won apiece. The Conference League, we've got Villa winning it twice, first season and 5th. Everton winning it the 4th. We mentioned how well they were doing. We played them in the FA Cup, didn't we? And then on this occasion, it's been split with Italian winners from both Fiorentina and Juventus. The Super Cup has generally been won by the English sides. We've got City, United, Liverpool, just Real Madrid and PSG breaking that dominance. So overall, a lot of English success in European football, but certainly a few surprises from elsewhere as well. So let's finish off with international football. We'll start at the World Cup, where the biggest trophy in world football has been regained by France, who faced Serbia in the final and won by 3-0. Interesting to see who Serbia have got. A few big names in there as well, but not really bringing through many more afterwards. France, however, a dominant force. So we just see who played in a round before. Italy and England in the 3rd place playoff. And again, Italy on penalties. The pain continues. But that Arsenal youngster, Ethan Nwaneri, has made it through and is now a superstar. So at 21, maybe the future of English football. Let's go and have a look at the Euros as well. I'm sure France played in that a couple of years ago. The European Championships has just started for 2028. So we're not going to intervene with that one. But France won it in 24 as well. So definitely looks like they're the favourites and one of the stars of European football. You can understand why, can't you? Young players such as Tchouaméni, Upamecano, Mbappe, Saliba, Camavinga, they're all over the shop, aren't they? They are going to be a very dominant force for a few years. Not even mention the likes of Nkunku, Dembele, the Hernandez brothers. I think we can see why they're pretty strong. Let's go and have a look at the Nations League as well. Who's been winning that one? I'm guessing the answer's going to be, it's probably France, isn't it? They lost the 3rd place playoff to Spain there. It was won by Portugal, but France did win it the first time around. So 2026 for them and Portugal in 2028. They've still got a fairly strong squad. Not quite so many that have made it through just yet, but a lot of young players with a lot of quality and most of whom are just coming past their peak now. So no big surprises there. Eric Dyer back in Portuguese football, this time with Benfica. But I would argue probably a little less surprising than what we've seen in recent seasons from the head coach save when we were looking through that. I guess the big question for me is a club fairly local to me in Northampton. Why have they become so bad in both FM saves, going down to the National League and then the National League North respectively? We've definitely got a bit more movement in the English pyramid this time, certainly with double promotions for Rochdale, for ourselves, for Yeovil and Salford. But are we going to see any more of those? It's going to be interesting. Of course, we've got to focus on ourselves as well. We've got a big 6th season coming. We've got a lot of decisions to make at this championship club, and it could be a fairly high turnover this summer. There's big news both on and off the pitch when we come back for the new year, and that will be a big transfer special, so I hope you'll come and join me for it. Let me know if I missed any of the big surprises from those pyramid looks and from winning the other trophies. If there's anything that I didn't spot that you think was of big notice, or something that compares well or contrasts to what you saw in the head coach 5-year bookmark. If you did enjoy this look around though, please do put a thumbs up on the video. We will stop off at 5-year intervals and just see how the footballing world looks. Something I like to do in these long-term sort of saves. If you want to stay up to date with everything, reminder, a slightly changed schedule over the New Year period. We will be back tomorrow with a New Year's Eve special, a little guide focusing on mentoring in particular. Then we will be back on New Year's Day with a channel update, and the long-term stories continue as normal from the 2nd of January onwards. Loads of live streams over that period as well. I hope you're looking forward to all of it. So we will be back here on Tuesday with the head coach, and then Wednesday with our new season transfer special and big off-the-pitch news with Southend United. If you want to stay up to date and make sure you don't miss it, subscribe and turn that notification bell on. You can find links to all the other playlists, the Twitch channel, the guides, and the football podcast up in the eye above. But thank you very much for watching as always. A very happy new year to everyone who follows this channel. I hope you have a good one. I hope you enjoy the celebrations. More importantly, all of the New Year football. I'll see you next time for our transfer special and a big new season at Southend.